Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Drafted Pages podcast with your host, Nick Krasinski. Again, really excited about today's episode. I have one of my better friends here in Dallas. Actually, I would say you're my first friend here in Dallas with me today for today's episode, Vasco Zamudio. So with that, Vasco, why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Sweet. Hey, everyone. So, as Nick said, Vasco Zamudio. I met Nick because we were actually working together. So, both work at Cognizant, both in consulting. He's in communications, media, technology. I'm in life sciences or like med tech pharma. And yeah, I also go to church with Nick. He's a part of my community group. So, a little bit about me is, I pretty much raised in Dallas. Been here practically my whole life. Went to college here. Now have a job here. And yeah, that's pretty much all the big things about me. Big soccer guy as well. So
Huge soccer guy.
yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that after church today, and I kind of stopped the conversation because I wanted to talk about it on the episode.
Yeah.
You said you were really excited about something. What are you really looking forward to tonight?
So, earlier I've been talking to my buddy Jared about this as well. We're planning what we're gonna do for the World Cup 2026 because it's in the U.S. now, and especially now that Messi is coming to Inter Miami, like I feel like the entire country is just seeing all the traction. It's like it's just building up to like what's gonna happen a few years from now, and I'm just excited to see a World Cup back in the U.S. whenever the U.S. soccer infrastructure is much more established than it was back in the 90s whenever they had it here. Like things have changed a ton since then. So.
And I feel like the team, at least from the development standpoint, is in a world of difference than where it used to be. Like there's so much more popularity around soccer in the U.S. than there used to be, and as a result, we have far more talented players where we can actually feel like we're competitive enough to like maybe win, right? I think in the past, at least from our generation growing up, a lot of the World Cups have been like, yeah, we might, go on a surprise run, might win a couple games, but we're not going to compete with Germany and Argentina and some of the other South American countries.
I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but I agree, man. Like, it used to be just all American players or people that played in America that would be on the World Cup squad, but now all of our players play in Europe. Like, pretty much the whole starting lineup is all playing in Europe right now, the top 5 leagues. So, you have your guys like Weston McKennie, like Christian Pulisic, like Gio Reyna. All these guys are animals. Like, they're some of the best talent in the world. So, I mean, I'm not sure that we can compete with Germany or France. There's a long time until then, but we have the players to do so. It's just about, having the right coach, having the right chemistry and everything. And you can never rule out, like, a home team, like, especially at home.
Yeah, dude, these games are going to be nuts. Like, it's going to be Super Bowl level type of atmosphere the entire time, especially for those U.S. games. It's going to be insane.
I'm so excited to see that. Like, I'm so excited to see the U.S. just come together behind a soccer team. Like, since I feel like, obviously football and basketball are like the top sports here. But, I think everybody will get behind this because people watch the World Cup. So
People love the World Cup. Like, World Cup's on. I'm not a huge soccer guy, but I'll watch. I'll watch other teams. But when the U.S. is on, I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. I'm full steam behind it. And to have it be here in the U.S. and North America, like those games are going to be insane. What's one game you really want to go see, or one country, I guess, outside of the U.S.?
Outside of the U.S., so I guess Argentina. I'm a big Argentina fan. I've been an Argentina fan my whole life. Like Peru. So I'm Peruvian, by the way. I didn't mention that in my intro. But Peru hadn't made it to the World Cup for a long time until 2018, whenever they went to Russia. And so, like, I would always support Argentina because, that was my country of choice. My dad and my grandfather have always been, big supporters of Argentina. So I'll catch, and, like, I'll definitely have to catch an Argentina game.
Yeah. Is Messi still going to be playing then, you think?
Oh, if he is, that would be incredible,
You think he has to run it back after finally getting it done, the World Cup?
I don't know if he would want to, but I don't know if you saw, like, his game this past week, but he was playing against Australia in a friendly in China, and he was making them look like idiots. And he's 35 years old.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of, if not the best
He's the GOAT.
footy player of all time,
He's the GOAT.
especially now with the World Cup championship.
He's
Like,
the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody can argue me anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the LeBron Jordan. Now he's finally got a championship. Like, you're set to go.
Yeah, exactly. So, but no, like, he's literally toying with people, and he's 35, turning 36 this month. So, like, literally, he's turning 36 this week, I think.
You know his birthday?
Yeah, it's 3 days before mine.
Oh, okay. Look at that. Easy to know.
24th. So,
Easy to know.
yeah, but oh my gosh, man, I'm so excited. Whenever I'm not like a big crier at all, and yeah, I know this is random, but whenever Argentina won the World Cup, I flew home to watch it with my parents, because I was like, hey, I need to watch it with you guys. Like, this has been building up for a long time, and whenever Argentina won the World Cup and like they scored the last penalty, I literally broke down in tears, and my dad did as well. And it was ridiculous. And then we popped champagne. So
You have to after that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the best World Cups probably ever, like games ever.
I think that was probably the best soccer game in the world, like in history. Like,
Really?
Like it's definitely a top contender.
Okay.
Because you think about it, like 2-2, then you go to extra time, 3-3. Like, that's 6 goals in a game that is absurd. And then you go to PKs. Like,
Yeah, and the comeback from France, like at the end there,
gosh,
like
yeah.
yeah, that was an insane game. So, yeah, I'm really excited for the World Cup to come back. We're definitely gonna have to save up and go to one or two, maybe 3 of those games. You know?
I'm gonna hit as
You're
many
gonna go
as
as
I
many
can,
as possible.
Man. You know me, man. I'm all about travel. So
Yeah.
if I have a chance to go out somewhere, even if I'm like tired, I'm like, you know what? When am I gonna get to do this again? So
It's true.
I'm like, let me just do it. Like, I'll spend a little bit more money, and I actually budget like a lot of money for travel each month. So
What do you budget?
for travel,
Yeah,
I just upped it to $600 a month,
$600 a month.
or maybe it's 500.
Just travel? Is that including like gas and like food when you're traveling, or is that strictly for like a plane ticket and hotel room?
like everything. Yeah, but I always go over my travel budget. So
But you're not traveling every month. Is this just what you're putting aside for future?
exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, $600 a month.
Wow.
That I do, which is, I know, it's quite a bit.
It is a lot, but I mean, if that's your passion and that's what you love to do, like some people love cars, some people love computers, you know. So find your niche and pursue it. And
Yeah.
honestly, speaking of travel, you just got back from a really cool vacation a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
How was Europe? Can you describe Europe in a few sentences for those of us like myself who have never been?
Europe, I don't know how to explain it, but it was truly incredible. Like, there's so much culture, there's so much going on. You get to experience so many cultures across like a very compact geography, which is, I think, one of the coolest things to do. Like, we were in 3 different countries. We were in Spain, we were in the Czech Republic, and then also in Italy. So, like, we're in countries like all 3 different languages, right? And all like within a very close location, like, and all within like just a few days. So every few days, my parents would text me and be like, pretty much every day my dad would text me and be like, what country are you in now? Or what city are you in? And like, I think that was cool because it's
Kind of such a flex. Your dad be like, "Yo, what country are you in today?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so like, I think that's the really cool thing about Europe is that you just get to experience so much in just such a small space and meet so many cool people. So yeah.
Those are 3 really great countries to go to as well. Like, I've had tons of friends study abroad in Spain. They all rave about it, how amazing and culturally rich, like you said, that place is. The Czech Republic. In fact, my grad school class took a trip out there for school for a week. I couldn't go on it.
You're missing out.
I know. I missed out on a lot of things, but they had a great time. Prague, everything was cool.
Yeah.
All the pictures looked amazing. And then you said Italy. I mean,
oh my God.
My mom's side is super Italian, so that's been on the list to go visit for a long time. Plus, I mean, the Italian food, man, that's a top cuisine for me.
It's good, man. It's good. It's definitely, the Italian food here is very different from the Italian food there. Like, they have very clean Italian food, which
it's authentic too.
At first, like, with my buddies, like, they would all be like, man, this food is not as good as the U.S. And I'm like, no, it's different from the U.S. Let's like clarify. They use like 3 ingredients for a plate. Very, very clean, very, very lean. So, you know, it's just so much cleaner to eat. In the U.S., we put a bunch of stuff in there.
So much stuff. That's such a great take on just anything. right? Traveling, going somewhere outside the U.S., it's like, oh, this isn't as good as the U.S. No, it's just different,
Exactly,
right?
man.
Like you could equate that to the people, you could equate that to the culture, to the jobs, to the pay, to like so many different things. It's just
Yeah.
no, it's just different, right?
Yeah.
And I think maybe that has to do with a lack of, I don't want to say maturity, but just experience traveling and seeing different cultures, right? I feel like as a kid or as if you're able to grow up in different cultures, if you're able to
Mhm.
travel outside the U.S. and get exposed to different people, you have more of an appreciation for certain things in the U.S. that we take it for granted, like running
100%.
water,
Yeah.
right? And you go abroad and you try a new pasta dish and you're like, this isn't as good, but it's just different because it's
Yeah.
made different. It's made cleaner, right?
Oh yeah, like you know, my parents grew up in Peru, and I came to Peru, or yeah, I came to the U.S. whenever I was 2, and so the way that I was raised is very different from how a lot of people here were raised. You know, like there's some things where in my household, like we never took for granted water. Like I remember one day I was back in Peru a couple years ago, and I woke up in the middle of the night to go pee, and then I was trying to flush the toilet. There was no water, and so I was like, that never happened to me. I was like, I didn't know that you could not have water, which is
Wow.
like just I was oblivious to it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that would happen, and so I called my dad. And I'm like, hey, there's no water. He's like, oh, it probably just went out. I'm like, when? Where did it go? I was like, what do you mean? Went out?
Went
Out the
out.
door? Like, and so he was like, oh, just grab the bucket that's next to the toilet. And I was like, oh, you guys have a procedure for this? And he was like, yeah. There's a bucket of water next to the toilet. If the water ever goes out, you just pour the water from the bucket into the toilet, and then it like all flushes.
Wow.
And I was like, what? And even like my mom growing up, she grew up in like a family that was very, very like conservative with their things and like with their belongings. And my mom, as a kid, her parents wouldn't let her leave the shower running whenever she would shower. So she would have to fill up a bucket with hot water, and then like, or no, she would like fill up a bucket and then also like do a little rinse, turn the shower off, scrub with
Mm-hmm.
soap, like scrub your whole body, then turn it on to rinse again, and then turn it back off, scrub again. So she would never keep the water running. She would
Yeah.
only use as much as was needed.
Those are the military showers. They teach you that in the military to conserve water and things
Mhm.
like that. You get wet, so you can lather up the soap, scrub yourself down, then turn it back on, rinse off, and that's it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. It's interesting, man. But okay, so speaking about different cultures, one thing that I observed, which I want to hear your take on this,
Okay.
and maybe just an opinion. Whenever I was in Spain, one thing that I realized, which kind of hit me harder now because I guess like I'm older, and I was able to realize it a little bit more, was that I was walking around the streets and everybody seemed happier.
Mm.
Like it was really interesting, and there weren't that many people on their phones. Like people would also be out like earlier in the day, like 4 p.m. walking around, and I was like, everybody here seems to have so much joy, and it was just an interesting thing for me to realize. Where I was like, I feel like you walk around in the U.S. at 5 p.m. on a on a Tuesday, and people are like, they're stressed, like they just got done with a long day of work, and so I don't know. I just felt like it was people had more joy in their life and
Mm.
compared to here. So.
Yeah. I mean, I could go off on all the problems that are in the U.S. culture and just how that has affected, daily life and daily happiness and things like that. I mean, there's literal studies and charts and indexes that come out every year about the happiest places in the world, which countries and places are the happiest. And the U.S. is never among that group. It's never in there. And anybody who's lived here can understand why, especially when you become an adult and enter the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
It's miserable.
Yeah.
You're expected to clock in, clock out 40 hours a week at a minimum to collect your paycheck. You have 2 days, really one and a half, because Sunday, you're getting ready for the Monday,
Yeah.
and to go and experience what is supposed to be the fun part of life, like living and doing things. And it's just such an issue. And yeah, I think anytime you go somewhere outside the U.S., you see such an abundance of happiness, and it's almost like time still goes along obviously at the same rate, but for everybody else outside the US, for the most part, by and large, it's not strict. You're not like right on the dot for everything. And I think that's really true in Latin cultures, which I'm sure you
Oh
can
yeah.
speak to, right? It's just
Yeah.
like you meet your buddy, you're going to dinner, and you run into your buddy on the street,
Oh
and
yeah.
you start talking to him, and you talk to him for 30 minutes,
Oh yeah.
and you're 30 minutes late for dinner, but nobody would care because you'd be like, I ran into George. We
Yeah,
just
you're
started
on
talking.
Latin time. If you're there, like, it's at least an hour late. You always show up at least an hour late
Yeah,
to anything.
and nobody's upset because you're there, you're
That's how it
living,
is.
and it's just how it goes. Yeah.
That's just how it is, man. Yeah, it's just an interesting. We're in a working culture, like
Yep.
quite literally. We live in a country where the culture is work, work, work.
Yep.
Which is, that's why we have all the opportunities we have. That's why we have
Mhm.
the American dream, right? So like, it's just you work hard, you read, you can get anything, right?
Do you think the
But
American dream's still alive?
that's a full question. That's a loaded question, not full question. I think it is.
Mm.
I don't think it's as prevalent and as it was before.
Mm. What makes you say it's not as prevalent as before?
I don't. Maybe it's just my perspective that's changed, or maybe there is maybe I do have a good reason. I'm not entirely sure. I think I just see more of the bad like nowadays. Maybe I just see more like things in the U.S. that are maybe just more light has been shining on them. Like for example, like equity, like just health equity or racial equity, like all these different things where you pay more attention to them and you're like, this is actually in a really bad state, And so I think maybe it's not in a worse state than it was before, but maybe it's just we've been exposed to what it actually looks like, And before we maybe had a different perspective of how it looked like because we were not exposed to all the things that were behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So maybe I take back my statement. Maybe it is the same, but we're not exposed. We're now exposed to see more of the bad.
I like that. I like that take.
What do you think?
I think it's still around. I think the American dream has shifted. I think the American dream used to be you come here, you work hard, you're going to have a happy life. And you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to get tons of opportunities that you never had before. Now, I think you grow up, you work hard, you're not guaranteed that same success. Not saying it was guaranteed just by working hard back when it first, was coined, the American dream. But I think if you were somebody with a good work ethic, you were going to, live a better life than what you came from. Now, if you still have a strong work ethic, nothing like you can go to college, get a good degree, you can not go to college and not get a degree, and you can still work hard, but it might take you way longer to get to that period of life that you wanted to, or that was perceived to be the American dream, right? Nice house, nice family, get to go vacation, get to have nice things. We're, we have pretty good jobs considerably to the majority of the workforce, especially at our age. Certainly blessed that we can do a lot of things we can still do with our time and money that not a lot of people can do as a couple, right?
Oh, yeah.
And doesn't mean we're guaranteed to have our job tomorrow. Doesn't mean we're guaranteed to, get to that level that our parents got to, right? At the same
100%.
rate. So I think it's just changed.
That's a good take, man. I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
Like, I guess the scales have sort of evened out all around. Like, everybody has a degree now. Like, if you don't have a degree, it's a lot hard. Like, at this point, it's moving towards like masters and new bachelors, and it's gonna keep
Masters
moving.
is the new bachelor's.
Yeah,
That's unfortunately how society has kind of gone about it. It's like it used to be the college degree was, it was a differentiator. And
yeah.
now there's all these studies and debates like, is it worth it? Is it still worth that financial sacrifice and time to go get that degree? And I just think a lot of it has changed with the way society has, right? We used to be an industry producing, like goods producing country with like steel, and like war was huge for our economy and things like that. And now we've transitioned a lot to like services and automation, and you think about AI and GPT and
all
everything.
technology.
It's all tech, and it's way more limited in terms of like actual brute force, like hard work, like blue collar jobs, a lot more white collar. And you need that degree for those things. Meanwhile,
100%.
we still need plumbers, we still need electricians, we
Yeah.
still need all this stuff, and nobody, you know, nobody talks about going to trade school. No one pushes that, and you can make good money doing
You can
those
make great
things,
money.
like
going to
great
trade
money.
school.
Not everyone has to
Plumbers
be
make a lot
doctor.
of money, man.
They do, and
it's
we
the
still
same with
need
a
those
good
people.
electrician, man. High demand.
Yeah, high demand for a quality one, and so yeah, I think the workforce and just the way the world's kind of evolved. Or I mean, that's how time goes. Everything
Yeah.
changes, and then it collapses, and then rebuilds itself. I mean,
Yeah.
just study history, you'll see all of that. So
I was talking to my mentor. I grabbed dinner with him on Wednesday, and we were actually kind of talking about this. We were talking about all the different ways you can make money, and he mentioned to me that like he had a guy, like back in whenever he graduated college, he was like computer science. He studied computer science, and he was a big coder at the time. And he said that a guy that he met at church asked him if he could create a code that would automate. So he did like he helped a company sell their products to Walmart so that they could sell them. And so Walmart, after a while, said, hey, we were placing all the products in our different locations, but now we want you to tell us what, like, the quantity of products you want in each of our locations. So he had to do that manually, and so he asked my mentor if he could build a system to automate that for him, to, like, calculate, oh, these products would sell better at this location and all this stuff. And so my mentor, knocked it out in 2 days, and then told him, like, he was like, okay, well, this guy, I'm going to give him like a high price. And my mentor, imagine like he was thinking, oh, I'm really going to shoot for this guy with this one, and like offered X. And he was like, hey, this is what this is going to cost. And the guy literally came back to him and was like, you have no idea how much money this is going to save me, do you? And he was like, no. And he was like, okay, whatever you just told me to pay you, I'm going to give you 5 times that amount because of how much money that's going to save me.
wow, that's, I mean, good for that guy. Like, that's
Yeah.
a good heart to know what you're actually buying and what it's worth, and not take it at the price that's given, right?
Oh yeah, and this is like, and he was telling me this is like an old man who just, he grew up like around Walmart and in a small town. He just knew everybody. I forget what the town where Walmart was founded is, but I think he grew up around there, so he knew a lot of people in that area. And so this is a guy who just made a living doing that with the people he knew, and people wanted to put a product in the market. They just knew him. They're like, hey, can you get me? Like, can you get me in there? He was like, yeah, I'll help you out.
Wow.
So different ways to make money.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Like, I do think there are a lot more ways to be financially successful these days. You think back 50, 60 years ago, I mean, it was really just your job, and that was it. That's how you made your money. Now you can have a job, you can have a side hustle, you can have a hobby.
Yeah.
All of those pay you money.
Oh yeah.
And if you're smart, you also probably have some sort of investment somewhere, right? Real estate, stock, even if it's small, 401k.
Oh yeah.
Like, so there's lots of different ways, lots of different opportunities to make money, which feeds into that American dream, right? There are way more opportunities, but it's not. I just don't think the success rate is as high as it used to be.
Yeah. More competition.
And that's a huge thing too.
Yeah.
And with the internet, everybody has access to everything at all times, and you can become an expert in something over like in a week, right? You can self-teach yourself anything and instantly have a new skill that you can apply to other areas to help you make a new source of income. So yeah, it definitely is a cutthroat world, and I do still think it comes down to a little bit of work ethic, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants it quick and easy. Everybody wants to do next to nothing and still make tons of millions of dollars, right? Everybody would love that. But if you do work hard, I do think you have a better chance, to make that quote unquote American dream happen.
Yeah. So. You just need a little bit more right now, I guess.
A little bit more, yeah. And with inflation, with the rent prices here in Dallas, it's a little tough.
So I saw a survey the other day, or like a market study, whatever, that Dallas is the city where the most people are moving to in the U.S.
Oh yeah, Texas and
Did I tell you
Florida.
about this the other day?
I don't know if we discussed it directly, but I believe it.
Yeah,
Texas and Florida.
I saw the stats for like the top 10 cities. Dallas, from I think 2021 to 2022, had 180,000 people move to this city. That was
no wonder traffic's so bad.
Blowing everybody out of the water. I think the next highest one was Austin, and then after that, I think it was like Phoenix, then Houston, then San Antonio or something, or maybe it was like Raleigh and then like Charlotte, like some of those. Florida was.
I was gonna say
I forgot
Orlando,
what city
Miami
in
are probably
Florida.
in there.
Yeah, I was like, this is ridiculous, man. 180,000 new people in this city. Like,
In a
what
year.
the heck is going on?
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge hub for tech, which is taking over the world. A lot of good businesses here, and yeah, I mean, the tax laws and everything in Texas in general are much more favorable and politically aligned with a lot of business, right? Like especially small business
Oh, yeah.
usually goes to red states. So, yeah, I mean, Texas is a good place to live, though.
Yeah.
You know,
I was talking to some people at work about like how our counterparts at Cognizant in New York make, I think, the same amount as us.
no way.
Yeah, I'm
Their
pretty sure
cost
they
of
do.
living, their COLA has to be higher.
Yeah, it
than
has to be
ours.
higher, but like that's not like a significant amount more.
It's true.
Like I don't know what if we get X, they maybe get 4X, 5X. I
Yeah.
don't think they would give him more than that.
Yeah, I mean, if they're making the same salary and then only getting, an extra 5K from that, yeah, that's. One of my best friends lives in New York, and he was with us on the vacation to Mexico.
Really?
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, we went out for drinks downtown, and he was like, yeah, I will spend this amount of money for myself at dinner in New York, and I was like, dang, bro, like New York is expensive. It's brutal to live out there. I could never. It's a fun place to go visit for a long weekend, but I
Yeah.
could never live there.
It's ridiculous, man. Yeah, I don't know. I've thought about it actually.
Really?
Yeah, I have because I want to get my master's at some point, and I want to go to East Coast, most likely
For school?
for school. Yeah,
Okay.
and I don't but New York is just another animal. I don't think that I could justify the amount that I would be paying for rent as a student. Like, I don't think that's like something that I could be like, yeah, like I'll do that while I don't work for 2 years. You know,
I mean, you could do the night school ones where you work and then go get your master's
I
during
probably
night.
want to do a full time one.
The PMBAs, as they call them in my grad school, professional
Yeah,
MBAs.
professional MBAs.
Yeah,
I heard you get a lot more value from like the full time ones, though. So
probably it's a lot more into. I mean, all the PMBAs that were in my cohort and in classes with us kind of talked about how they wish they were doing it full time, just
Yeah.
doing school. But I mean, it's hard. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes, especially you got a family and you
Yeah.
got to provide. You can't just up and leave your job for 2 years.
yeah.
Go get new schooling. So
What about your MBA, man? Do you like it?
yes and no. I do think it was worth the investment, especially just because it was one more extra year technically of school to come out with it, and it's a great program. A lot of phenomenal faculty, a great cohort that I was with. I mean, got close with people who I either didn't know or vaguely knew in undergrad,
Yeah.
and got to be on projects with them. So have those relationships and connections for the rest of our life. And the alumni network at my MBA school is massive, and
Oh, really?
it's very driven and in tune with everything.
That's
So
awesome.
that was a huge selling point to the program itself. But I mean, I think it's probably the same with every MBA program, is that there's courses that you have to take during it because it's just part of an MBA course that are just, what am I doing? Like, what
Yeah.
this is a waste of time.
Yeah.
And didn't get anything out of it, but that's school in general. Like, if you go to liberal arts school or whatever, you're going to have to sit through classes that you just don't think contribute to anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But there was a lot I got out of it, and I definitely think it helped. I think it helped me get this job at Cognizant, and I definitely think it's going to pay dividends down the line. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like we talked about, masters and new bachelors. So I feel like I was going to have to get it eventually, and now I got it out of the way and don't have to worry about it. So
Boxes checked, man.
boxes checked.
You're set.
Boxes
You're set.
checked. Yeah. So I did want to ask you before we got completely off the Dallas rant. I asked Christina this: what is your number one restaurant? If you have somebody come to visit you in Dallas, what's the place you tell them you have to go there and eat?
This is a good question, man.
I'm a foodie,
Yeah,
so
I'm not a big foodie, to be honest. I'm you know this. I cheap out on food.
yeah, go to this man's house and open his fridge, and you will see a plethora of water bottles, baby carrots,
No, they're
and
shredded
lettuce.
carrots, man.
Shredded carrots
Yeah.
and lettuce.
It's
like
spinach. Spinach, dude.
you would spinach. You would think a rabbit lives
Dude.
in this apartment with the food in there.
I eat very I try to keep it pretty lean, and I try to keep my grocery bill like under 300 a month. So
It's insane.
like my grocery bill, I try to keep like 75 a week, which I know is pretty absurd, but I get it done. I typically never go over.
Yeah,
So
I don't know how. I don't like buy expensive stuff. I literally just buy the basics, and it's like, I mean, right now because I'm cutting, I eat a lot less, so it saves it. But it's like $100 a week.
a week.
So
Yeah, I mean, okay. So back to your question.
yes, back to the question. The restaurant.
So I don't really go to like a lot of nice restaurants.
It doesn't have to be nice.
Yeah, it doesn't. But if I were to give like a place where I'm just like,
You got to eat here. You're in Dallas one time in your whole life. You know this person's coming in. Where do they have to eat? You have to go here to eat.
why am I blanking, man? I feel like there's such good spots here, but I'm just like,
Italian, barbecue, Asian,
There's a oh my gosh, what is that?
Tex-Mex.
What is that Asian place in downtown with the speakeasy? Do you know? It's like the Asian fusion spot.
I don't know of an Asian place with a speakeasy.
You don't know? Oh
Mm.
my gosh,
Is it like sushi?
it has like like all
Has
sushi,
everything?
a bunch of stuff. I forgot the name of it, man. But that one I went to for a birthday celebration, and that place was incredible.
Okay.
Like I'm gonna get the name.
We're gonna have to
I'll
look
get it
this
yeah,
up,
We're gonna look
yeah.
it up. We're gonna look it up. But that place was incredible, like absolutely insane. And then the speakeasy. This is the best part. So we got done with dinner, and then we're like, we bring the waiter over, and then we're like, hey, we want to go to the speakeasy. She looks us in the eye, turns around, walks away, and we're like, does she not like us? Did we say something wrong? And then like 2 minutes later, two like big bouncers in suits walk up to us, and they were like, are y'all with us? And we were like, we think so. And then they were like, walk this way. And they just walked us through the entire kitchen and down into the speakeasy.
Yeah, why have we got here the whole time I've been in
Dude.
Dallas? This place sounds
Dude,
insane.
we should go just because like I like that they set it up that way, because you get the full experience of the restaurant where it's like you're eating dinner and then they have to walk you all the way through the kitchen to get you to the like lower like basement speakeasy, and it's pretty sick.
That is so cool.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good spot, man. It's a great spot.
Okay. I do love Asian cuisine too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We need to go to Japan.
Japan?
Yeah.
Japan
Speaking of
2024?
Asian cuisine, it's Japan 2024.
I don't know. We were talking about this yesterday, but I'm debating between Asia and South America. I think we gotta we might have to put it to a vote, because I don't know, man. I want to take out of my house in
Yeah.
Peru.
I mean, you got connections there. I can
Yeah.
see why you'd want to go.
yeah, because I'm like I've never taken any of my friends to Peru, and like I'm just excited to show some of my friends, my close friends, like how beautiful my country is.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. I mean, that would be cool. I mean, I would go
Yeah.
just to see, like, have you kind of be the chauffeur of the town and kind of be like, this is what the culture's like. This is what we do here. All that stuff. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it would be super fun, man. And like, especially if we go in like a summer season or like a winter season here. And we could even go in the winter here because it's summer there.
Yeah.
So like a January trip would be like incredible, because everybody's at the beach house, and pretty much like a lot of the like middle upper class in Peru or in the capital Lima, kind of like they have like houses like an hour away, beach houses, and so there's like a whole like beach city. Like a massive beach city, just like scattered across several miles, where everybody has just a beach house. And then, you get together. It's all the like, bars and restaurants are all in one place as well. So, like you're bound to run into your friends there, and it's just really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool. That's awesome. All right. We're going to have to plan that. So add it to the list.
Yeah.
We're doing both. It's
We're
just a
gonna do
matter of
both.
which one's first.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
I also haven't been to Asia. I've been to Asia once, but I was in Russia, and I was in the Asia side of Russia. So I'm like,
Okay.
it counts, but it also doesn't count. I'm like, I want to go to Japan, and I want to
Yeah.
go to like,
Japan,
the
Singapore,
yeah,
Philippines.
Indonesia,
Yeah.
like,
Ooh. Yeah.
So
Now we're talking.
Bali.
Bali, let's do them all. While
Bali?
it takes a while to get over there. We may as well go to as many places as possible.
You flying
Like,
first class?
I don't know about first class, but probably business. I want that like luxury, like lay down, take a nap, wake up refreshed,
Yeah.
glass of champagne waiting for me, Mr. Krasinski. Like we have champagne for you.
Yeah. We had that conversation yesterday. We were like, because he was like, whenever I go on vacation, I go on vacation.
You have to.
You know.
It's like I mean, that's at least how I always view it, especially now as an adult with my money. It's like, no, I've worked hard for this. This is what all the hard work was for. This was what all the sacrifices were for financially to save up for this and to actually enjoy the vacation. I don't want to go on vacation and have to like budget with the food or not get a souvenir because I really want it, right? I earned this in a way, right, to experience it, and then I feel like you're not getting a full experience, right? If you're going somewhere and you can't get a really nice steak, if you go to Texas and you can't enjoy a really nice barbecue or a really nice steak, and you're gonna have to go somewhere that's a chain like an Outback, like what's the point?
Yeah, no.
So that's kind of how I view it.
That's good. Yeah, I definitely took that approach in Europe and somewhat regretted it. Not, I wouldn't say I regretted it, but like it definitely hit the wallet hard. Like
Vacations are expensive.
very expensive, man. Like, and I will say though that the places we went to, like, they weren't that expensive. Like, I think the most expensive place. Well, okay, apart from Amalfi Coast in Italy, that was that was pretty expensive. We were in a very expensive city, but like the other places, they weren't that expensive. Our friend group was kind of just like down to spend money, and so we would go to like nice restaurants. Like we would dress up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You experience the vacation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We went to this restaurant in Madrid, and I kid you not. So they had like like the top floor, or I guess like the regular floor was like a beautiful restaurant. It's called Amazonico, and like Amazon. So it was like
okay.
kind of like
I like that.
like jungly. It was interesting. So they have the regular floor, and then they have the jazz club, which is an underground basement. And we made a reservation at the jazz club,
Dude.
and it was freaking sick. Like it was a whole separate door that you had to walk into with, and to get in the jazz club, you had to go by like bouncers, and then like up some stairs and back down some stairs to the basement, and like once you got down there, like there was like a girl singing like acoustic and playing guitar, and then it was fantastic, man.
Man, I need one of those here. That sounds so much fun.
It was incredible, man. And the drinks, one of my buddies like ordered. He asked them, he was like, "What should I order for a drink?" And they were like, "Let me surprise you." And he was like, "Okay." They brought out a crocodile. A massive crocodile, like a ceramic crocodile with like drink in it. And it was like a mojito, I think. And then I was like, so we thought it was hilarious.
This is extra presentation just for a mojito.
We thought it was so hilarious, and so jokingly we go to the like server. We're like, "Hey, bring out another animal." Jokingly, comes out with a monkey. So my friend is like sitting here drinking a mojito and an alligator, and then like a margarita and a monkey.
Yo, that is hilarious.
So funny.
Oh my gosh.
So funny.
Man, culture outside the U.S. just seems so much better in every way.
It's interesting, man. Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I will say that is you can't ignore it is we live way too comfortable here, man.
Yeah,
Way too comfortable.
completely agree.
It's like we take it for granted, and whenever I'm there, I'm like, oh my, even the toilets and the toilet paper. I'm
Mhm.
like, you guys have terrible toilet paper over here.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the difference in cultures, difference in wants and needs, and how people perceive society and what's important.
Mhm.
Yeah, huge difference. So
Yeah.
I know we haven't talked about faith too much, and I wanted to just ask you
Yeah.
this real briefly. As we're both single men,
Yeah.
what is your take on being in a relationship? Right, if you're in a relationship with a girl, and we both have Christina, great example for this, right?
Mhm.
We're both good friends with her.
Mhm.
She's like been one of your best friends for a long time.
Oh yeah.
How do you go about your relationship with Christina once you get a girlfriend? Do you think you can have do you think you can still be friends with the opposite sex at a significant level while in a relationship?
Yeah, I think that you can. I think that you just have to be a little bit more cautious. Um,
Elaborate on that.
I think you have to be more cautious in the way that like you talk to your female friends and maybe the type of jokes you make. Like there's a variety of things where like you now have to make sure that your significant other feels like she truly is being treated differently and like more special than your female friends, right? Like that is something that I think is really big. Where your significant other, especially in a Christian dating relationship, where you know if you don't want to experience lust, and the max that you could probably go is kissing.
Yeah.
So like, to be quite fair, if you're in like a godly relationship, then as far as you can go is kissing. So the only difference between you and your significant other physically than your friend is the fact that you kiss her every so often and probably hold her hand.
Yeah.
And maybe get a little bit more cuddly with her, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, like, there's not too much other than that physically. So like, you have to make sure that emotionally she knows that she is like, cared for more than your like girlfriends.
I like that. You have to put a boundary between how you like treat her to make her feel more special than how you would treat. Not saying you treat your female friends worse, right? But you just treat them a little bit differently than you would your significant other.
Yeah.
What would you say? Do you think you could still like go out for coffee one-on-one with Christina if you're in a relationship?
I feel like this is gonna have some.
Okay, don't use Christina as just just someone on the same like type of friendship.
No. Yeah, I just mean like I think this question has a lot of controversy around it. So
I know that's why I want to get into it. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer to this. This is something I've wrestled with ever since my last relationship. It's just kind of like, what's the line and how do you go about it?
I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think it's really up to your significant other. Like, because there's people who would say, no, I don't think that's not okay with me.
You're right.
So I think that it's fully up to the person who you're dating to be like, hey, like, or me go up to them, hey, like, I want to catch up with this person. Would you be okay if I asked them to get coffee? Or, hey, this person asked me to get coffee. Like, would you be okay if I went with them and, let them decide? Like, or maybe not fully decide, but like, have a say in it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a big deal, right? Like, for them to, because some people don't feel comfortable with that.
Yeah. I mean, I view that pretty much the same way, right?
Yeah.
Like, if it's somebody who's like super close to you, you've been friends with for over a decade before you started dating this new girl, and in your heart, right, there is no physical attraction, there's nothing there, like not even a hint of it, right? There can't be, or else like that should already be a no. You can't hang out with them one-on-one. You should probably honestly start to cut them out of your life in a certain way, or else it's just going to cause problems, right? Even if it's just the smallest thing.
Oh yeah.
You thought they were cute one time, right? But yeah, like present it to your partner, whether you're a guy or girl, and just be like, hey, like so and so asked me to go get coffee, catch up. Haven't seen them in a long time.
Yeah.
They've been really good friends. Would it be okay if I went?
Yeah.
And then it's just up to you two to have that conversation and understand where you two are in the relationship, how much trust you have in each other, and things like that. I mean, it's like what we've talked about being, absent from all the sexual activities until marriage. If you practice that as a couple, resist all that temptation, it's going to build such a level of trust between the two of you that you'll be able to like trust each other with little things like that. You'd be like, yeah, go get coffee. Yeah. I'm not worried you're going to cheat on me. Like,
yeah,
I know you guys are just friends. Like, it's cool. So
you mentioned something at community group the other day, a quote by a man named JP.
Ooh.
Jonathan Pecluda. Do you remember what you said?
I think it was something about like waiting to have sex.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like if you have sex outside of marriage or any sexual like anything past kissing, right? If you do any of that outside of marriage, you're communicating to your partner that you're okay with doing this outside of marriage. No matter like even if you're engaged, you're going to marry this person. You're communicating that to them because you did it.
Yeah.
And your partner did it. So when you let them go on that one-on-one date, when you let them go have a girls' night out or a boys' night out, like they've already communicated once they're okay with doing that stuff outside of marriage.
Yeah.
Yes, it was with you, but you've still committed that already, and you haven't waited it for it to be the covenant. And that's like that. You hearing that like changed
Oh yeah.
changed everything for me in the way I approached it. And yeah, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add to
Like
that.
no, I mean spot on, man. Like whenever I heard that, like he said, like like you are telling your significant other that you are willing to go outside the covenant of marriage
Mm.
for your own desires and for your own pleasures. And like, I mean, I know, like, to be quite frank, you're supposed to, in in the Bible it talks about sex being reserved for a person in marriage. So whenever if you do that outside of marriage, then it's saying that you're not with the person you're married to. So like it's as if you were cheating.
Yes.
Like that's something that I didn't actually realize until sometime recently. I learned that. I was like, oh wow, that is actually, yeah, that does make sense.
Until I heard JP phrase it like that, I was like, wow, that is a game changer of
Yeah.
a mentality to think about
Oh yeah.
that. Because, I mean, that stuff's in our culture, especially in the U.S., everywhere, man. You can't go on social media. You can't watch a TV show. You can't listen to a song without there being some kind of sexual reference or anything like that. And,
Oh yeah.
like, even you just walk around, like, unfortunately, like, it's just everywhere. It's in your face all the time. And you just have to have those guards up
Mm.
like beforehand and prepare yourself so that way when you get exposed to those things, they're not ruining your life.
Yeah.
Right.
So I have a question for you now.
All right.
I know I'm turning the tables here,
All right.
but I wanted to ask you, what is like the most important thing, or what is one of the most important things you've learned in your faith the past 6 months?
You didn't listen to my testimony podcast episode then.
I haven't. So, fun fact. Not so fun. I haven't listened to any of the podcast episodes yet.
He'll listen to this one like 20 times, I guarantee it.
Yeah. But no, I gotta go catch up because since I've been traveling and then I got back and I've just been slammed, and so I'm like, Nick, I'm gonna sit down one day and just listen through. But
No, it's all love. I do this for fun. I don't really
Yeah.
care if 20,000 people listen or 2. Like, it doesn't matter. But you said the past 6 months?
mm,
I mean, honestly, that from JP
yeah,
about like it being a covenant, and yeah, it's just like the way that was phrased. Also, in one of his other podcasts, and I think I put that in our community chat, something about or maybe I just talked about it with Corbin when you were away in Europe. It was about choosing your partner and qualities to look for in somebody, and I have it written down. I think it might be in First Peter, but he says in the Bible it's like not directly associated with marriage and the qualities to look for in a partner, but he believes they're key characteristics that if you're dating for or looking for a healthy Christian relationship, if like that's something you want, these are characteristics that you should look for in person. And it had to do with like speech, like how they physically like talk, like are they swearing a lot and things like that, or and how they also like treat other people, selflessness, thing. I can't remember all of them, but yeah, it was just like super impactful. And as single guys, we're both at that point where the next person we at least know for the most part what we're looking for in a relationship, and we want like a holy, healthy Christian relationship. So it was just really interesting to have all of that written out and listed and what qualities to really look for. And it's not like I wasn't looking for that stuff. It's just like to have that bullet pointed and go to the scripture
yeah.
and see where it's written. I think that was super helpful.
I love when like certain passages like just start rattling things off, like 1 Timothy 6:11. Like it says like, but you, man of God, flee from all this and pursue like righteousness, godliness, faith, love, endurance, and gentleness. Like it's just like rattling off like qualities that you need to practice it. It's like I know the Bible can sometimes seem like difficult to read, but if you have somebody to help you kind of walk you through it, and after some time it gets easier, and then you read and you're like, it still is very complicated at times, but it can also be very straightforward.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything you've learned the past 6 months stood out to you?
I think I told you this like on Friday, whenever we were at that worship night, but like just like how hard I've realized it can be to be a Christian whenever you're so rich in the world. Like you and I are, beyond blessed to have all the things that we have in this world, and I've definitely seen that like, that helps me rely on myself rather than relying on God. And I feel like I have all this stuff. I have a good job. I have financial security. Like, I don't have to worry about what I'm gonna eat the next day. And so I feel like with all that, I'm just like, oh, I don't need something else, like somebody else, something else to take care of me. Like, I'm quick to go to that. Like, I'm very quick to go to self-reliance, and I've been trying to teach myself to not rely on myself. Like, I am weak. Like, I'm a sinner, and I have to remind myself of that a lot. So that's, I think, the most important thing I've learned.
Yeah, and we're always humbled by God's grace. His
Exactly.
grace and mercy gets us through. So, well, awesome, man. We're getting a little close here on time, but just wanted to thank you for coming on the podcast. Always enjoy hanging out with you in our conversations. Got a little deep here towards the end, but we'll probably have you back on again when I get back to Dallas.
Oh yeah.
Let's get one with all the boys from the community group.
Oh, that would be
just
sick,
have a round
man.
table, little deep
sick.
discussions about faith and hot topics like this. I think that'd be fun.
That would be sick, man. I appreciate you having me and just being so hospitable.
Yeah. Well,
so.
Hey, like I said, you were my first friend here in Dallas. You definitely helped make me feel like home really fast. I feel like all of my friends, minus like a couple of our coworkers, are because of you. I met them all through you in one way or another.
I don't think.
I think so. Christina,
Maybe.
Natalie, Gerald, Adam, Steph.
I mean, they're all just stand-up people that you got along with. Yeah.
Yeah, just like the closest people I have here in Dallas. So. Yeah, really thankful for you. Thankful for our friendship and, keeping each other accountable in our walk with God.
Last thing for me, man. You're like, ever since you come in town, dude, you've been like one of my best friends.
Hey.
So, huge part of my life, huge blessing that like God would bring you from Florida and like from Philly to Dallas to like be such a big part of like, my life and, Cam's life and Corbin's life, the other guys in our community. Like, that's just a blessing that, he would put all that into motion just so you can encourage me on a weekly basis. So.
Yeah. I mean, his plan is so perfect, and it's not until like we're a little steps removed that we realize, wow, like I couldn't even have made that decision without some help. You know, I wouldn't be here without some help. So that's why we call him God with a capital G. Capital G. So with that'll conclude this week's episode. Feel free to check out the show on TikTok and Instagram at Drafted Pages, on Spotify and YouTube. New episodes every Saturday, and we look forward to seeing you next week.